Corrections, a career of courage. Imagine working in an unpredictable and often dangerous environment at your job almost every single day. I first became interested in this topic when I started dating my now fiancé Dakota. He works at Dodge Correctional Institution, the intake prison in Waupun. I've seen many changes in him over the past 3 years that he started working there. And I want other people to know that being a correctional officer is exhausting. They are often overworked and underpaid. This topic is important because we need to appreciate those that are constantly being beaten down by inmates and know what the cost of their job entails. Along with being a correctional officer, there comes disadvantages such as mental illness, risks, long shifts, low wages, and those disadvantages can be very scary. Mental illness. First, we'll look at why mental illness is so prominent in a correctional officer's life. Being a correctional officer will heighten your chances of developing a mental illness. Nearly 1/5, 19% of prison workers surveyed reported symptoms that were severe enough to be diagnosed as PTSD, a rate 6 times higher than that found in the general population and slightly above what previous studies have discovered among police officers of 18%. The PTSD rate among veterans from America's most recent wars is estimated at about 11 to 20%. Officers can suffer long-lasting mental trauma that makes it difficult or impossible to separate work life from home life. You are constantly in a state of fight or flight because you don't know what's going to happen next. When you are going into becoming a correctional officer, you have to go in with a strong mind. If you don't go in a strong mind, those inmates will grind you down to almost nothing, as said by Travis, who is a sergeant at Dodge Correctional Institution. There's also the possibility of suicide. When it comes to suicide, correctional officers take their lives at a rate of twice that of both police officers and the general public. A national study in the Archives of Suicide Research found that the risk of suicide among correctional officers was 39% higher than all other professions put together. The life expectancy of someone living in the United States is 77 years of age, while that of a correctional officer is 59 years old. You are constantly stressed. I have a lot of guys that I've worked with that have had to go to a mental health institute because they were contemplating suicide. As I have said, there are a lot of mental illnesses surrounding correctional officers. Along with mental illnesses, there are many risks. The risks of being a correctional officer. There are many risks of being a correctional officer, but there's also the risk for assault. And assault is more common because of the shortage of the staff. The constant possibility for assault. Correctional officers often face risk of being assaulted by inmates turning common objects into unconventional weapons. These materials include broken glass, locks, safety razors, and toiletries. The greatest threat comes from objects sharpened to become weapons, according to a research report submitted to the U.S. Justice Department in November of 2007. Toothbrushes, for example, can be sharpened for stabbing or reshaped to hold metal blades. Officers must remain constantly vigilant for such threats, which boosts their physical and mental stress. A correctional officer will be seriously assaulted at least twice in a 20-year career. As well as assault in the actual prisons, you also have the risk of getting hurt and assaulted while transporting inmates to a nearby hospital or to a doctor's appointment. There's also the risk of shortage of correctional officers. Right now at Dodge Correctional Institution, we are 112 people short, which means as a fight broke out, the inmates would take over because we don't have enough security, as said by Dakota. With a shortage of correctional officers, it poses a risk on the prisons that inmates will rebel because they know the prison is short-staffed. It's very unsafe, Sanchez said. The officers are fatigued, they are exhausted, and they are on edge. In addition to there being risks, correctional officers are also forced to work long shifts, but they also have very low wages. Along with the risks, there also comes long shifts and low wages. The correctional officers work long shifts and make very low wages. When correctional officers work long shifts, it creates a cycle of fatigue along with impairing the officer's mental and physical abilities. Creates a cycle of fatigue. Officers get inadequate sleep when they experience a break in their circadian rhythms. The sleep-wake cycle all living organisms are required to maintain good health. Continual breaks in circadian rhythms can cause serious mental and physical fatigue. This fatigue diminishes people's mental and physical health and impairs their ability to deal with stressful situations. With fatigue, you can get impaired judgment, mood swings, increased anxiety or depression, and also heightening an officer's sense of threat. There's also low wages. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the 434,870 correctional officers working in the United States in 2011 earn an average annual salary of $43,550. Officers in the lowest 10% of this profession earned up to $27,000. While those in the top 10% earn salaries of $69,610 on average. It also impairs an officer's mental and physical ability. Working 3 or 4 16-hour shifts a week is not only hard on your body, it's also hard on your brain, as said by Dakota. It's a career path that wreaks havoc on even the strongest emotional balance and shortens lifespans. You are constantly thinking about what your next shift is going to be like. It's exhausting, as said by Dakota. In conclusion, now that you know about the lives of correctional officers, would you agree that they are overworked and underpaid? Being overworked and underpaid can be hard along with long shifts, mental illness, and many risks. We are the officers that are rarely regarded as being part of law enforcement. We are the ones who have to control ruthless, mean, and violent crime offenders without any weapons. We are responsible for keeping the bad locked up and the ones who cannot judge anyone by their crimes. For we are responsible for keeping them safe too. In time, we too will be recognized as an important part of law enforcement. Thank you.